All right, thank you for staying with us on the program and the conversation, especially this first leg. It's about a call from the Pan Yoruba Social Cultural Group, Afenifere. They made a position last week in a release where they urged the federal government to please save Nigeria from collapse. They gave their reasons, especially with the things that is happening, the hunger, the insecurity, and in fact, they made a point, very categorical one, about the seeming insensitive nature, of the ruling class, where, it's more like everything they need, that's exactly what they get. And they highlighted, the new purchase of the Airbus by the president, the new aircraft, by the president, for the office of the president, that it has just been done. The Cadillac Escalade, bulletproof, millions and hundreds of millions of naira that was just got in for the president as well. The huge amount spent on SUVs for the National Assembly members, 160 million worth of SUV for each of them, for them to carry out, quote and unquote, to carry out the functions of their office as parliamentarians. And when one of them was asked, he said it's because the roads are bad. That's the reason why they had to get, those SUVs for them to be able to travel the length and breadth of the nation to do their work, especially the oversight functions, and just doing their duties. Many things. They talk about the renovations, tens and tens of billions of naira at the vice presidential residence, at the presidential residence, the one in Lagos at the Dodam Barrack, the one in Abuja. They said all of these in the face of hunger and depravity, hopelessness in some places, even when it appears like maybe there are some, trickles of gains that are being made, especially the GDP thing that was just announced last week or last 2 weeks. It looks like Nigeria is heading in the right direction. But then the ostentatious lifestyle of the leaders and the seeming insensitive nature and where the nation is currently now, Afenifere made that position to say, federal government, please save our nation from collapse. And, many persons have been talking about that. But to shed more light, into that for us this morning, we have an elder statement in every right of the world, and he's here with us, Mogaji Gboyega Adejumo. He is a ranking member of the Eminent Elders Forum, a pan-Nigerian leaders group, and of course, he is involved with the Western Region Organization, a new initiative involving many positively charged Awolowo-inspired Yoruba leaders. And of course, he was former publicity secretary of the Yoruba Summit Group and a former publicity secretary of the Afenifere as well. So you understand when I said in every sense of the word is an understatement, and duly so. Mogaji, good morning, sir. Good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here for the first time.
Thank you, sir.
Perhaps for repeated times to come.
Yeah.
I will always honor the invitation of my good friend, Chief Adefila.
Thank you.
So it's good to be here. Let's begin to rub minds and see how far it goes.
And exactly, that's what we are going to do. Just like I said in my introductions, Afenifere, they are calling federal government, rein in yourself, do your duty, save our nation from total collapse. And you saw what I read out, the ostentatious lifestyle, the purchase luxury, that the ruling class are having, the affluence they are having for themselves in the face of hunger. Do you buy the position of the Afenifere at this time, Mogaji?
I wouldn't know who would not be very concerned about the situation in the country and the events that are unfolding right before our eyes. It's not just about Afenifere. It's the concern of every human that wants to live in dignity, that wants to be reckoned as having gone through some human existence in a supposedly humanely run, humanely run country. Unfortunately, we are not getting that unless and except someone is going to come and oppose all of this. Perhaps that person does not live in Nigeria, or perhaps is living in Nigeria but living in denial. So Afenifere is right. But beyond that, everybody can see the level of brokenness. There's no aspect of our life that is not broken. Is it education? It's broken. Broken, as in broken. Is it in health? It is broken. Is it in security? If you are talking about physical security, you guys are in Oshobo. I would love to come, but the insecurity right there, the kidnappers are there unchecked. And is it about food security? How many people were able to eat last night? How many people are expecting to have something to eat this morning? Is it about the power of the naira to be able to purchase the basic PRS necessities? Where is the money? And even when you go to the market, will your money be able to buy you the basic, the BRS necessities? And then you want to go to work. Where is the fuel? How are you going to get to work? How much are you buying fuel? Even if you have had to queue from, say, 10 p.m. last night till 6 a.m. this morning, and you are able to get perhaps 10 liters. At what cost? How much is the minimum wage? We have serious issues bordering on perhaps the coexistence of different nationalities, in which case nobody trusts anyone. The Yoruba are saying the Igbo must go. There is an Igbo lady in Canada who is saying, oh, poison the food of every Yoruba and the Edo. And of course, there's somebody in National Assembly who is saying, count the cows along with humans. There is something wrong.
Right.
And if I am to begin to explain all that is wrong, we will spend the whole day. So to now perhaps zero it down to what Afenifere said, will not be doing justice to the whole of the nation and the people therein who are going through all manners of degradation, all manners of indignity every day. So where do you now want me? I have been in this struggle for over 30 years. So am I supposed to roll over and die? Or simply because there's a Yoruba man there, I should say the truth and not say it? I wasn't wired that way. Awolowo didn't teach me that way. I met Awolowo when I was 19 years old. And it made a serious impact on my life. I was going through my university education. And I could see how the Yoruba were in the 50s, in the 60s. I could see the way people would come from Saudi Arabia, from everywhere in the world to come and receive health care in Ibadan at UCH. I was in secondary school when teachers were coming from Pakistan and India because they found life easy here in Nigeria. So what has happened? What has happened?
Mogaji, if you can
yes,
hear
I'm
me,
listening to you.
Yes, if you can hear me, sir, you know, your version of Afenifere, this hard knock that they gave the president just right now, you know, calling it more like a failure of the government. Some would say, is it not too early to start blaming or calling out the federal government led by President Tinubu? Some will even say, maybe Itato, you didn't really support him, you know, just before the election. Isn't it too early?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
My brother, please, I have to stop you.
Please.
If people are saying that, then what are you saying to the people? First and foremost, when 2015 was approaching, didn't the Afenifere come out to say, oh, we'll be making the greatest mistake of our life if we allow somebody like Buhari to come in? Did we not warn the people? Did they listen to us? So who is going to be talking about 2023? We are talking about the fact that anytime the Afenifere speaks and we don't listen, we go into trouble. In 2011, we actually supported Jonathan for only one thing, because Afenifere will not do anything without having to have sat down to put everything together. That's what Awolowo taught us. When Awolowo was there, he had the likes of Professor Okoya that he had to beg to come and help execute free education. He had to beg. In fact, 3 times it took him to go to Babadebi to come and handle finance, because he was bringing the very best in Yoruba land. The likes of Professor Kikube, Professor Magbogude, Professor Aluko were there to put all the policies in. That was what we learned from Awolowo, that there has to be due diligence. We went into a conversation with all the presidential candidates and we talked to Jonathan. Will you be able to give us restructuring? He said yes. And Afenifere put together the 2014 confab. Jonathan gave it to us. It was Afenifere's Dr. Okuromu, who is still very active, who wrote all the background paperwork to launch it. And it was the same Afenifere's Professor Akinyemi who chaired it with yet another person. So we prepared the 2014 confab that actually gives the power to even go to regionalism, that gave the states more power. Devolution of powers and everything, Yoruba went there. We had our own agenda. We succeeded. Rather than say, okay, let the man continue, so that we can see the dividends of federalism, of democracy. But did they listen to Afenifere? They went and brought Buhari, who spent 8 years. Oh, exchange rate of 195 in 2014. Went to 600 under Buhari, but somehow he was able to bring it down to 460. What has happened to the exchange rate today under Tinubu? It is now 1,620 to the dollar. So why would you say to Afenifere that it is only because they didn't want Tinubu there? When we said we were not going to support Tinubu, people thought it was about some kind of issue. No, it was a fundamental thing. We saw his trajectory, his preponderance to ponder and pander over finances. We saw the way things were handled under his watch, and we saw how Lagos has become like a one-man colony. And we didn't want all of that to happen to Nigeria. And we saw that the idea that is in the Constitution, even though we want the Constitution changed, but the first thing you will see there is the job of the government, which is to protect the individual, to bring food to the table,
right,
and to secure the existence. And we realized that all these things didn't matter. If anybody saw what happened with NSAS and the way people were slaughtered, our children, our youth were slaughtered at the Lekki toll gate and some other things. And then, of course, again, we sat down with the presidential candidates. We saw what Obi said he was going to do. We actually went into an agreement with him that these are the things to do. He agreed with us. So we supported the one we felt would do Nigeria better. It was not going to be about religion. When Akintola and Awolowo had issues, Awolowo was a Christian, Akintola was a Christian, but who did Awolowo choose to succeed Akintola? It was Alhaji Adegbenro, who brought the very first consulate in Saudi Arabia to cater for pilgrims from the Western region or any part of Nigeria. Was it not Afenifere? So Afenifere is devoid of all of that, which would be religious or tribal in nature, but Afenifere is about life more abundant.
Mogaji.
To make life more abundant, to love your neighbor as yourself, to do as you would do to yourself and do to others, and give the same kind of treatment. The egalitarianism, that is what Afenifere has been talking about, where there will be equal opportunity. But in Lagos, we realized, which is the only thing that the president could show, we realized there was no equal opportunity. It was like a cult of certain people. If you belong, if you don't belong, keep the same. And we thought that would not be good for Nigeria. We wanted to have, okay, look at it. When we had the best of economy, who was running it? We had the likes of Nkokonjo Iweala. We had the likes of Soludo. We had the likes of Akiwumi Adesina. We had the likes of Bafinaji. We had the likes of, look, it was a potpourri of having to look at the best, not where you come from. It's about excellence. It's about looking for the kind of people that can bring the very best out of Nigeria so that we can continue to excel.
All right,
As at the time we were talking about 2015, we realized that Nigeria, as at that time, had the fourth fastest growing economy in the world, and we wanted it to continue. We were the first in Africa. Are we first in Africa today in economy? We are hardly even number 4. And I want anybody to go and check what I'm saying. You know, I'm wrong.
All right, sir.
So how can we now begin to say, oh, everything is going on well, when we know things are not going on well? I don't have any child in school anymore. I'm a grandfather now. So it is not about me. What do I want? Anybody can go and check. Anybody can go and check. Papa Adebanjo, did he ever even serve in any position, let alone put his children there? Or the same thing with others like Chief Shukosho Nibare, or somebody like Tokumba Jasin. When his father was governor, he brought 4 agbada to the government house, left with 3 agbada. His car, of course, was even off-road. So we have genuine people who want the very best, who are not looking for money, who are not looking for position. We only sit down and think. We bring out issues. We bring out papers. Even what Awolowo gave to us, 4 cardinal points, Afenifere has increased to 8. If people want, we can give them the template so that
Mogaji,
they can go and practice it.
Sir. Yes, sir.
And that is the point.
All right, sir. Yeah.
All right, sir. I want you to take you back to the statement Afenifere made about President Tinubu.
Sorry, my dear, you have to speak loud. So that I can hear.
All right, no problem, sir. I said I want to take you back to the statement that Afenifere made regarding President Tinubu about him on the verge of pushing Nigeria into total collapse. So, and yes, the president has been making emphasis on the fact that he met a dysfunctional economy, that things were not in place when he was sworn in as the president. Don't you feel that it is too early, and also that the president needs more time to reshape the economy? Don't you feel that it needs time, that 1 year is not enough to blame him or tell him that he's about to push the nation into total collapse?
Why are we so conditioned to talking about time? The problem we have really is, how do we go back to those times where Nigerians could think, where Nigerians could actually engage all their faculties, rather than have to repeat what others say, to borrow simply from what somebody in government is saying? Why are we devoid of independent thinking? Why is it that, oh, somebody needs time? What time? Oh, he was there. He midwifed Buhari. He brought Buhari for 8 years. Again, this is a man that was elected in February. He had 3 months to put everything together so that from day one, he knows exactly what he's going to do. Again, I'll take you back to 1951, when Afenifere was formed. They had only 3 months to prepare for an election that looked as if NCNC was going to win. So they went to the villages, they crafted everything, they did massive pamphleteering. They went on every recourse to telling the people, giving them what they've never heard of, haven't planned. As soon as they got there, they started implementing. They didn't wait. Nobody asked them, oh, I want to give you time. Well, where is the time? When you know something is really bad, like when Buhari actually made things so bad, and you said it's your lifelong ambition to be president, why would you even need 1 day? You ought to have been prepared from day one. You ought to have known what is going on. It is the government you brought. Are you going to deny all of that? So what time does it need? Unless and except we are not really talking about people who are capable, unless we want to address that death, that serious deficit of the kind of materials that can run this country. We want to probably even begin to interrogate the capacity of those who are ruling us. maybe we need to interrogate ourselves and find out what has happened to the national IQ. Recently, there was and I'm serious about this, it can be Googled. There was a report about the intelligence quotient of countries all over the world. You'll be surprised. The average intelligence quotient that where IQ is rated from, say, 40 to 170 or something like that, or 160. If you see what Nigeria scored, it is so below average. But when did it start? When they started telling us lies, and we believe the lies simply because Omowani. When we cannot even begin to think and reason reasonably as humans, but we recourse to tribalism, we recourse to religion, and then we lose all our faculties. What does it matter if we face the truth to say, okay, we have somebody like Cardoso there, we have somebody like Wale Edun. When last did they engage themselves seriously into matters of international economics and finance?
Mogaji, these individuals that you just talked about.
Hold on, please. You asked me a question. I'm trying to answer you.
Yes,
the
please,
best way people can begin to think. It's different when you run a local government. It's different when you run a state government. It's different when you get to the federal. Obasanjo at least realized that PDP was such a big party, but he went for the best all over the world because he wanted to succeed and he wanted to give the best to Nigeria. He didn't just pick party men. Obasanjo didn't look at, who is loyal to me? Who is the most loyal? Let me give him a position. Because I even heard him say, if I leave this job, nobody's going to ask me who was loyal to me. They will ask me, how did you succeed? How did you handle the job? They would use the parameters of how I was able to govern to judge me, not by those who are closest to me or who are supposed to be loyal to me. Loyalty cannot be to one person, it's only got to be to the state. Now you can ask your question.
All right, sir. You mentioned Cardoso, you mentioned Wale Edun. One will say these are brilliant guys with a huge CV in their own right. That, okay, is that a thing that defies this brilliance, this experience, these expertise that some of these guys have before, and not just only the two of them, but others, maybe those in government now, maybe those in government
I'm
before.
talking about today. I'm talking about relevance. I'm talking about having
I understand. I understand. I'm getting somewhere. The
problem we have with somebody like Buhari, hold on, is that he left government when he was just 41 or thereabout. But did he go back to school? Just like some people did, at least went and had a PhD. Obasanjo, even at his age, went and got a PhD. But what did your Buhari do? Did he write a column? Did he write ever?
All right,
did he ever give a lecture?
Yeah, let me quickly add this.
On the board of any safely international company to get to know how things are done internationally? Whatever, look, in economics and in every other field,
right.
I've read many books. Even in management, that was Drucker. That was the template for management. But he wrote a book in 1962 or 63. And in 1970, he said that book has become utios. It has become obsolete because times have changed. So even if you are brilliant, or you are still considered brilliant, but are you up to date? That is the question.
Fair enough, sir.
Are you perhaps going with the times? That is the question. Are you constantly reviewing?
I understand,
your self-development?
Yes.
We need to hold on, please.
It's because of time, because we have a lot of questions.
Where was she poached from?
Yeah,
she was
we have a lot of questions to ask
a serious portfolio with the World Bank. Same thing with Ebu Ekwesili. These were people who are currently engaged. Where was additional poached from? These were people who are currently engaged, not people who had been, some has been, and suddenly you remember that, oh, this guy was good. He may have been that good at that time. And you see, the problem we have is when we promote perhaps a primary school teacher, or perhaps the headmaster of a primary school, from you are in Oshun, where maybe Elisha, maybe Ragbiji or something, who is the headmaster, and you take him to Obafemi Awolowo University because he was the best headmaster. You take him there to become the Vice Chancellor of University of Ife. Does it work that way?
All right, Mogaji.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me explain what I'm saying.
Yeah, because of time, we have a lot of questions to ask.
Hold on, please. Let me finish, please.
Yeah.
In year 2000, I became the very first in the whole of Africa, very first consultant to the World Bank to write the project implementation manual for the World Bank on a project called Route and Tube Expansion Program for 33 states, 28 initially, and it was the first. The World Bank specialist on procurement, Mr. Bayo Awoshemusi, said they didn't think an African can do it. So we are going to bring in people from Rome and all that. But I said I could do it. Right. And then when Alan and some of the people came from IFA, they looked at what I wrote. They said it was safely international. But if I sit down on that and I say, oh, I became the first African to write this in year 2000, and I go today without preparing to say I want to write yet another, I'll be fooling myself.
All right.
I have to constantly update myself. Right. Same with anyone who wants to handle a project, let alone the affairs of a country like Nigeria. If somebody had made Nigeria to be #1 in Africa and #4 in the world in terms of the fastest growing economy, you can only improve on it. You can't bring it down.
Right.
And the quality of the people you put there as the managers will determine to a large extent how they fare on that job. And that is the point.
All right, sir. Too quick, because we have a lot. Whenever we have persons of your stature, we try as much as possible to ask as many questions as we can because of your wealth of experience. And fair enough, 2 quick ones because of time, And the IMF, by the way, they just commended President Tinubu for his neoliberal policies and urged him to sustain his efforts. And some experts have said the economy is already showing signs of improvement, and in some places again, some will say, oh, John, why don't you cut the president some slack and say the removal of the subsidy and the savings that have been made has made money, funds,
subsidy
more available. Yes, if I may, sir, more
Where
available.
From? What subsidy
and that has added huge
subsidy
value.
Is back and twice as bad.
Yeah, to state resources. That why don't Nigerians, why don't Afenifere and other well-meaning Nigerians like yourself hold?
Because Afenifere cannot be bamboozled. Cannot be. Look,
if I may,
you are just
if I may,
words.
Magaji, if I may,
Where
sir.
is the evidence? Well, I'll tell you the evidence.
If I may, sir.
As at today, hold on. Why do we have fuel scarcity all over? Simply because you can only have scarcity when there's non-availability. If somebody is telling you, oh, it's because somebody is hoarding, that's a lie. It's a usual recourse. The truth of the matter is that they are not bringing in this product. And why they're not bringing it? Because the burden of subsidy is twice as bad. It's as simple as that. As at today,
Oh, okay. It's like we might have to reconnect with them. And in fact, the question I was trying to ask Tommy is this, that in spite of this, the IMF seems to be, saying the president, maybe we are making some gains right now. And some money have been made more available, especially since we have, quote unquote, stopped the payment of the subsidy to say we have more money now. More money is being distributed between the federal government, the state and the local government. Why are we not holding and Afenifere themselves? Why are they not talking about governance who now have more money? But people cannot really mostly feel the effect of having more money. These are the issues because, okay, we are no more paying subsidy, so there is enough money, at least more money to share. Somebody, a tier of government that is collecting maybe 5 billion before, let's say state, all of a sudden had 6 billion, 7 billion. The well-being of the people should improve. And in many of the states, this is not the case. So that's the question I was trying to pose to Mogaji to say, why are we not holding state executives, I'm talking in terms of governance, more accountable to say, this now you are earning 4 billion, you are doing so and so. Some of you have, your allocations doubled, 8 billion, 9 billion, 6 billion. What are you doing with that? And these are some of the conversations we should be having as a people. I'm not sure if actually we have Mogaji back, because we must have that conversation. It is a lot, and there's a lot we have to speak to because, Afenifere, in that particular position of theirs, and Mogaji explained it to say, for them, is not, they don't really care where you come from. It's about the brilliance. Though Afenifere is a pan-social Yoruba group, but then, according to the template, he said the late sage Awolowo, Obafemi Awolowo of the Blessed Memory, left for them because Mogaji himself is an Awoist to say he fetches for brilliance. It's not just your region or your location above brilliance. Your take on that?
And to some people, they wouldn't mind commending the president that he is doing enough. And to some sector also, some people would say, oh, yes, it's not doing enough. So if Afenifere is coming out to say that, oh, yes, there are lapses in this area, yes, it's possible. And then some people, like IMF said, oh, the economy is growing. We can see changes.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel that it depends on whichever angle you see the issue.
And who is talking.
Yes.
But then, a body like the IMF, some of these Bretton Woods institutions, although many Nigerians will frown at them and say, whenever IMF or many of these people come, they will rather suggest policies that will pay them, benefit them in the long run. Not really, like, they don't really care about the nations. And these are some of the things we hope we'll have our back so that we can continue the conversation. Like, really, are we about to turn the corner? Because these are the issues. Proponents, and supporters of this government are saying maybe we have turned the corner. But Nigerians will say we might have these things in figures, but is it really translating to the well-being of the people? Access to education, access to proper and good health, access to public infrastructure. These are some of the basic things that people will use, as a yardstick to measure if actually this nation is prospering or not. The figures are there, and we can churn out figures upon figures and statistics, but then what's the reality on the people? These are some of the questions we are asking. And then, it appears that, some persons might say, Afenifere, it's like you are not seeing anything good. Like they have a pre-made up mind to say, no matter whatever this guy does, he will never be good enough. Mogaji spoke to that to say, it's not about that. It's about the workings. He mentioned two names, Cardoso, that's the CBN governor, and Mr. Wale Edun as well, the finance minister, the coordinating minister for the economy, to say maybe he was trying to just oppose and say, can you compare Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala last time and the kind of position she occupied and still occupying? Because Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is the president of the World Trade Organization till now. He mentioned the former president, that was President Buhari, to say he left at 41 when he was in power, and there was no addition, according to him, of knowledge or school or certificate till he came back. So he was talking about you have to be relevant. It's not just because you are brilliant. Are you still brilliant for the task? These are some of the issues. But we take this quick break right now. We will continue the conversation, and that's not the only conversation we are having for today. We are going to be talking about governance, politics, the rule of law, having a sane country, as well, with our other guests as well. It's still Morning Spring or Western Spring Television. Let's remind you that you can be a part of this program on our social media platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on X, especially now on our YouTube channel, all at Western Spring Television. We'll be back. Stay with us.